Now, with Bitcoin recently hitting a brand new all-time high, nearly $90,000 per coin as of right now. As dividend or income focused investors, we all have our eyes on one specific ETF, or at least on a few at this point, one of them being ticker symbol MSTY or MSTY, the YieldMax MSTR Option Income Strategy ETF, which has been doing quite well off of the most recent moves that we've seen from Bitcoin and of course from MicroStrategy. Now, the YieldMax MSTY ETF of course utilizes the MicroStrategy single stock, and then through the use of synthetic cover calls, is able to generate massive distributions for investors, at least they have historically. Now, in the last month alone, MicroStrategy's the underlying is up over 59%, and on the 1-year time frame, this single stock is up 573%. Now, the YieldMax ETF MSTY is up over 29% on the 1-month time frame, and just as of today, this single ETF that also pays massive distributions is up over 16%. And even though I personally am not the biggest fan of most of the YieldMax products, I still want to make a video and talk about MSTY because of course MicroStrategy and obviously Bitcoin have been ripping as of recently. So I want to give my thoughts on MSTY, and if or if not, I personally am going to grab some shares. Now, just to make something very clear here, this is the obvious. On the max time frame, even if we were to chart out the total return for MSTY, which is distributions plus price return or lack thereof included, MSTY altogether since inception is only up around 183.47%, and this is since February of this year. Now, I don't mean to say only as if this is a bad return whatsoever. I mean, MSTY's outperforming the absolute heck out of my portfolio, to be honest. But the reality is that even though MSTY pays massive distributions, if we were to compare MSTY to the underlying MicroStrategy stock, MSTY is underperforming MicroStrategy almost 1/2 of the way. Now, YieldMax ETFs never said they were going to outperform or even perform as well as the underlying, and this is due to multiple different reasons that we're not going to go through in this video. And the reality is that there's no certainty that MicroStrategy was going to perform so well this year. So still, the fact that MSTY has returned investors somewhere around 200% over the last year or so is still incredibly good. Now, the most recent distributions have been massive. $4.19 was paid out, and this was on October 25th. Before then, $1.85, $1.94, $2, $3, $2.50, and $4.12. Now, across any ETFs or any stocks in the entire stock market, this is some of the biggest distributions I think I've ever seen altogether and then some. And like I mentioned earlier, this gives us the distribution rate of around 175%, which is massive. Now, the only reason I would consider buying into MSTY as of right now is if I was looking for some indirect exposure to Bitcoin and MicroStrategy, of course, but didn't necessarily want to buy into the growth name that's already up so much this year. Now, something like MSTY is going to fall a lot faster and go up probably a lot faster than the general market because this ETF, of course, tracks something that is very high beta. But the reality is that if you're an investor out there that does want some indirect exposure to, let's say, MicroStrategy and or Bitcoin crypto, I think MSTY, the YieldMax Option Income Strategy ETF, could be a good use and a good way to do so. Now, probably the most important indicator to this whole thing on whether or not MSTY is going to continue to trade well and or pay massive distributions or maybe not in the future is going to have a lot to do with how Bitcoin is going to trade here on out. And as of right now, it seems like Bitcoin only has one way to move, and it's straight up in price. But of course, any asset that is this high of beta, you have to be very careful with, and of course think twice before you make any investment or any choice, whether it's buying Bitcoin, whether it's buying MicroStrategy, or of course the MSTY ETF. Now, MSTY as of right now, as of filming this video, is currently trading around $36 per share, and the all-time high for MSTY was back in March earlier of this year, which was around $44.80 per share. Now, could we see MSTY hit a brand new all-time high? I think it's definitely very possible, although because once again, how these option income strategy ETFs work, they do have capped upside exposure depending on what sort of overlays are used. So I personally think that MSTY is a decent option income strategy to buy into if, of course, once again, you want exposure to MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, but want to do so in an option income strategy way. Otherwise, if you want to invest into the real thing, you could always buy MicroStrategy and or Bitcoin all on its own. But now lastly, I want to hear from you guys down below. When it comes to MSTY, the YieldMax Option Income Strategy ETF, are you personally buying this one or holding it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the markets. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.